and this is what the guy told me. The instructor told me. He said, "Have you driven in Canada before?" I said, "No." He said, "Where are you from?" I said, "I'm from Nigeria." I said, "Okay. Have you done any basic road tests before here in Canada? Have you driven?" I said, "No." He said, "Okay, let's go." And then we went. By the time I came back to the parking lot, the guy said, "You did well. I like the way you handled the car, but today, I'm sorry, I have to fail you." No, so he said, "So sorry, today you have not passed." And I'm asking myself, what do you mean? So when he gave me the score sheet, I took it to my instructor, right? And then when I took it to the instructor goes, "Did you have a quarrel with the road test guy?" I said no. He said, "Why did you fail so badly? I've never seen somebody fail so bad."
Have you ever wondered what it's like to leave behind every single thing you know and start a new life in a foreign country? From my experience, it can be a struggle. On the Newcomers podcast, I'll be sharing my story as well as the stories of other immigrants. We'll be talking about the joys and struggles of starting afresh. My name is Dozier, and I'm looking forward to being your host. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Newcomers podcast, where I chat with immigrants about myself about moving to a new country. Today, I have Bona with me. He's been here for like 8 years. I mean, like you're like an Asian person right now. Thanks for joining us, Bona. How's it going?
Not bad. Great. Day has been good. Weather good today. It's -11 today as compared to -30, -45. So it's a
You
good
know, you
day.
know, you know something that is really crazy is that so we say the weather is good, like it's -11, the weather is good. But if you told that to someone back home, like it's -11.
So there was a day I was talking to somebody and he said he was cold, and I said, "Why are you cold?" He said, "No." He said, "This place is too cold. I have to drop the AC temperature." I was talking to him, and and I said, "What's your AC temperature?" And he says, 22. I said, "Is that the maximum?" He said, "Yes." I said, "At 22, I want to die of heat."
I say like it's so abnormal how I don't know if it's called, you should say you're abnormal or something, but like this I was talking to my brother and he goes like, if we're talking, I go like, oh, he's like, how's it going? I'm like, yeah, it's a pretty good day. The weather is like -13. We had like a -22 the other day, so like it's pretty good. He's like, you're not well. No, he said, in Nigerian, he said, you know well. I'm like, mm. I first wanted to react. I'm like, I just said, yeah, I'm actually not well because when I consider where I'm coming from and what the weather is like here, you're like, the difference is wild. And so I think I'll just start off. My first question is basically knowing all this about this mad weather that we have in Canada. Why did you decide to move to Canada?
Yeah, well, I think before we came to Canada, myself and my wife, it was more or less like we were tired of Africa generally. I was traveling everywhere in the world, right? My kind of
Mm,
job, I was everywhere in the world. So I had not visited Canada then. No, I visited Canada once, but so it's like brief, like a week.
mm,
I kind of like the environment. I like the people. There was no population, right? And I felt like it's very quiet. And myself and my wife always like peace, right? So, and we were living in Lagos. We had an option
yeah,
to live in the posh part of Lagos, but I just felt like, nah, we should be coming to another country. So we were living. I used to say this to my wife. Where we were staying wasn't posh, but we were close to the airport. So anytime we want to take off, we were ready to go. But
yeah,
for me, it was more or less for us. It was more or less like giving a good opportunity to our child.
yeah,
Though he was born in America, he's an American citizen, but we didn't want the child to grow in the same environment in Africa, in Nigeria, most especially because the kind of everything's going on. Election had just
yeah,
been lost by Jonathan Goodluck at that point in time. They have
yeah,
brought in Buhari, and I think one of the biggest problem we have in Africa, especially in Nigeria, we forget about the history. I knew Buhari was the worst thing that could happen to Nigeria, and I did not want to be in the country when Buhari was ruling, and so we before then we had already applied. I wasn't serious about it. So my dad was all over my head. You have to leave that country. You have to leave that country because he lives. My parents they live in Wisconsin. You have to leave. You have to leave. My brothers, everybody, you have to leave. Huh? Like, no, I still have my job here. I'm working for a big company. So for us, it was more the most important thing was because we wanted to give our child a better environment. We wanted to live in a better environment, good retirement, a sane environment, most importantly. You know, an environment where you meet people who are reasonable, right? You know, something like that. So
Nigeria's not that bad for
yeah,
that.
Nigeria is not bad. Nigeria is not bad. Who is I'm not saying Nigeria is bad, but you don't have in a country where you have people like you have thugs. I mean, when I mean thugs ruling, then there's a problem. It's not that bad, but
Yeah,
that
yeah,
is
it's
bad.
it's it's
Yeah,
sad. I mean,
I don't.
especially
Yeah, I
considering what
don't.
happened the past couple of days. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
this week has
I
been. I
don't.
felt really bad this week.
Yeah, I don't. I don't want my child to be forced to choose. You know, I want him to have an option. You know, for us, our motivation was our son. We needed to leave that country, and our son never see have an option to go back if you want to go back. That's
Mm.
fine, but you have an option to be anywhere in the world. It's an American citizen, a Canadian citizen. I wonder what other passport he needs to have. So you can go back to Nigeria if you want to go. That be your prerogative. Yeah, but for me and my wife, we're living here. So
So you think you'll never ever go back at all?
I can go to visit, but I can never settle back in Nigeria. Never.
Jeez, you've given up on the country already.
So even though the country is going to get better, it can never be better in my lifetime.
Yeah, I think
That's an absolute fact.
mm, I don't know if
Yeah.
it's a fact. I think for me, it's just maybe it's a fact, but I think how I look at it is that whenever I see people saying we want a better Nigeria, I say if you want to fix Nigeria, or any country for that matter, you have to accept that the country might never get better in your lifetime. I feel like once you accept that, then you actually do a much better job of trying to fix the country. When
Yep.
you think that you can fix a country in your lifetime, then more often than not, you make choices that come back to bite you, or horrible choices, just because you want to be a hero so bad, because you want to be the one who fixed the country.
Yep.
And so maybe you're right. Like maybe just like me, I've said to myself that I'll do all I can. I will support the right candidates when they come out. I will donate where possible, But what I will accept is that it's very possible that I will die. I will leave Earth,
I'll never
and
see a better Nigeria.
I'll still be talking about. I wish you a better country.
Yeah.
But coming
It's
back to
just what it is.
yeah, but coming back to immigration. So how was it that first time when you all landed? Like you landed in Calgary, right?
Yeah, we landed in Calgary. So our flight was from Nigeria to Frankfurt. We did a 7 hours layover in Frankfurt and then straight off to Calgary. I think that was 9 hours flight to Calgary. I won't go to Calgary, got to Calgary August 14th, right? That was, I remember very well. That was the day we landed. And when we landed, August, you know what August is like now.
Yeah, it's
It's
hot.
sunny, right? It's hot. But guess what? I was wearing a jacket. I was wearing pants, socks, boots. I thought it was gonna be, good weather, warm, right? And then my cousin was to come and pick me, Austin, was to come pick myself and my wife. By then we've already rented our apartment. We're going to move straight into our apartment. So I went outside the airport, just to see if he was around. And the cold hit me. This is August 14th. I'm like, I ran back. I'm like, shush, this place is cold.
Oh
August
gosh.
14th. I'm like, when he came into the airport, he was wearing shorts, slippers, and a t-shirt.
Wait, are you saying we are actually even more abnormal than we think we are?
Oh
Because we
yeah,
because
yeah,
we think that the 22 is hot in Nigeria, 20 is cold.
cold. And when I got in August, you know how August is, right? August is hot.
Yeah.
That is summer. It's. I'm like, this place is cold. And then he's like, no, this is good weather. It's raining short. That was why I was shocked. So that was the biggest shock for me. That cold, and he was part of the people that made me really surprised because he's wearing shorts, wearing slippers, wearing t-shirts, no jacket, and I'm wearing jacket, t-shirt, pants, boots, and I'm cold. So he told me,
Yeah.
"Don't worry, you're gonna adjust." And that whole year into the next year, I was wearing winter pants, the full time I wear pants, shirts,
Are you
everything.
serious?
Oh yeah, the whole of that year. I was into the next year. I was wearing. I have this tama where my wife she gets the best. So she went to Mac. she bought these thermal pants and shirts. I have to wear the base layer first. I have to wear the pants and then the shirt before I wear my own shirt, or a t-shirt before my shirt, then
I
the
even did better.
jacket.
I even settled better than you. Like
Man,
I
this
feel
is
like
tough.
the first when I landed, we I think my body went into shock. Like he just didn't understand what was going on. I was like, what is happening here? My son was running around like
Oh
as
yeah,
if
they adjust
like
quickly.
they're just
Yeah.
so fast. But I mean I didn't do all that. And so just think I wanted to ask you a question about now that you've been here for that long and you traveled a lot before you moved. Do you think there's a difference between visiting a country as a tourist or as a visitor and living in that country?
Yeah. I told my parents live in Wisconsin, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I go to visit them. I've visited Canada once before we moved. I visited
Yeah.
United States, the UK, not Middle East, Africa, where it's different when because then I go in as expatriate, right? In some
Yeah.
countries, I go in as expatriate, so you don't get to really, except maybe a few days you have to go around. Again, you have to go
Mm,
with security and help and stuff
mm,
like that. So, but it's way different than when you move in the country to say this is your home now.
yeah.
So I go to countries, and when I crossing the traffic lights, like I'm walking, I see the sign, like you are supposed to move or not to move. But I usually move with people. So like it's a handler or something like that. I usually move. So yeah, I don't take notes. But the first time I got here, I'm moving alone. I see the traffic light. Oh wait, and the light. I'm like, what the fuck is going what is going on here? And I told my wife, I don't understand. So I have to wait for the light to turn white before I can cross. She says yes. Don't you know? I know, but it's just weird. I'm supposed to cross if I want to cross. There are no cars here. But that's the fun, right? And
Yeah.
again, it was difficult for me. Why? Because I had to bring my family here, go back to Nigeria.
Mhm.
Then it's like you leave sanity, go back to insanity, then come back to sanity, go back to insanity. Jesus Christ, it was tough.
How did you handle that?
For the first 2 years, it was tough. First 2 years, it was really tough because my job, I needed to break down my job. I was handling the business, my role from Nigeria, handling 5 countries. So I had to break my role into 5 different positions in different countries. So in 2 years, I had to do that and get a team from each of the countries. So
Mm.
traveling back and forth is something I had to do. And you can imagine coming from Nigeria to Canada and going through Turkey. It's never an easy trip.
Yeah.
It was never so you have to do that wait time. So typically on an average, I have to do about maybe 10 to 11 hours wait time in Turkey. Oh, the worst,
Yeesh.
the worst was I did 23 hours wait time in Turkey, 23 hours. I bought that ticket in a hurry, and that was my last flight leaving Nigeria. I told myself, nah, I'm not going to do this again. If I go back to Nigeria, I'm coming back, and that was going to be a problem. So it was more or less like I had a strong wife. I said this to people when you're making a move like this, especially a family movement, both
Yeah.
parents, the man and the wife, have to be in sync. It's a tough move, even though you don't have a kid. It's a
Yeah.
tough move. So you have to be mentally ready. So luckily, I'm married to somebody who had that mental stability and strength. So it was easy for me to do my own part so that I could come back and then support her, and then do what I had to do, coming back to handle and take care of my family. But I will tell you that it wasn't easy. I was just lucky to have a partner or a spouse, my wife, who was strong enough
Yeah.
to do her own part of the, handling business before I came in.
Yeah, so you want to talk about the things that you think you both struggled with during that period? Because I can imagine that that transition period was pretty intense.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think one of the things we struggled with was the time difference. So I wake up in the morning and then I see the message I'm going to bed. You understand? And that's when I'm deep asleep. So by the time I wake up, I'm like, hey, babe, okay, have a good night rest. She's not saying that. By the time she's saying
Damn.
that, I am about to go to bed. You see the mentality, see what's happening. So the communication was a lot of problems. So during the weekends, we have to strive to look for a time to really, to really match. And
Mm,
I say this, whether the every relationship, if there is no communication, there's a struggle,
yeah.
right? Of course, that affected us to a very large extent, But again, like I said, it's all about the mental capability and strength of each couple, right? Or each person's involved in it. So
Mm,
she did everything she had to do. I did my own part. I had to follow her strength because honestly, if she wasn't strong, I don't know, man. Honestly, I don't know. Because that's the toughest thing. And so when I see people coming to Canada or they move to another country and they say, "Oh no, the man is going back or the woman is going back," I'm like, "Are you sure you're ready for this? Are you sure you're ready for this? Because this is a tough thing. If you love your marriage, you will really love your wife or you love your husband, you have to give this thing a second thought of
mm,
going back home. And nobody, as I used to say, the taste of the pudding is in the eating, right? So until you
yeah.
taste it, you won't really know that
Mm,
somebody's trying to protect you from this. And I've
yeah.
seen marriages crash because of that. I've seen relationship fail because of that, right? And that
Mm,
the communication was our biggest problem, not because we couldn't communicate, but because of the time difference. Yeah,
mm,
so
mm.
we had to make that work, and here we are. So here we
Yeah.
are. Yeah.
Yeah. So building on that. So aside from the and I'm kind of going back to something when you talked about the shock when you experienced
Yeah.
the cold. What is your aside from that? What other cultural shocks did you experience when you? I mean, when you moved?
Mm.
Although it feels like you spent 2 years not really living here.
Yeah.
So maybe it's after you now finally settled in. What were like your biggest cultural shocks, or cultural moments? And you're like, what the?
So I think there were a lot of things that made that were those that caused shocks from like me, made it different or strange to me. It the cultural shock wasn't so much.
Mm,
Why? Because the culture here in Calgary is very family oriented.
mm, yeah,
Would say Calgary is the old school or is the Western Nigerian. You understand? So the culture here, you see people are usually family oriented. You see couples, you see kids play together, play groups. And
yeah,
stuff. This is what we know as Africans or as
yeah.
Nigerians. The case may be just that in this case, you are in a place where everything is working.
Mm.
But I tell you, another thing was probably the electricity, steady electricity. That shocked me. I honestly won't lie to you. That blew my mind out. Like there was a day I told my wife, "Are you sure that something is not going to happen?" Like, I don't understand. She burst out laughter. Remember I told you I was 2 years away. So when I finally,
Yeah.
so those are the things I used to ask her, like, "Are you sure Nepal is not going to take life?" She'll be burst out laughing you know and then sometimes she will make food because I'm very bad at cook. I don't know how to cook. And then she will make food and say, okay, you know what, this is your lunch. I'm going to put it inside the refrigerator, inside the, this thing. I'm like, okay, what if Nepa take like, no, Nepa's not going to take like, okay, good, the food is going to be there. Those things are always in your head. Then maybe of course the traffic lights, like I said, these things were not new to me. But when you live in an extended time in a place where you now know this place is home, they become normal, but they are first and
Eh,
foremost shock to you. I see
yeah.
people stop when there's a traffic light. I'm about to cross the road, all cars will stop. I'm like, oh man, something is wrong here. Okay, so I'll tell you the first thing that happened to me. I went to my driving test. So I came in and they told me, oh no, that they didn't tell me I could switch my driver's license, but they told me that since I had a clean driver's license history from Nigeria, it would be difficult for me to do the road test. I said, okay. So I did the test first, the written test,
Knowledge
knowledge
test.
test. I failed it the first time I didn't read. I told myself I've been driving for 20 something years. What the hell? I'll just go and write. I know all the signs. I did the first one, I failed. I failed woefully. And then I did the second time, I failed. I'm like, what the hell is this? And then I had to go read. I read it and then I passed. Foolishly, I went ahead and went to do the advanced road test. Now you're laughing. Now you understand what I mean.
Who does that?
I went ahead, I went to do the advanced road test. And this is what the guy told me, the instructor told me. He said, have you driven in Canada before? I said, no. He said, where are you from? I said, I'm from Nigeria. I said, okay. Have you done any basic road tests before here in Canada? Have you driven? I said, no. He said, okay, let's go. And then we went. By the time I came back to the parking lot, the guy said, "You did well. I like the way you handled the car, but today I'm sorry, I have to fail you." No, so he said, "So sorry, today you have not passed." And I'm asking myself, what do you mean? So when he gave me the score sheet, I took it to my instructor, right? And then when I took it to the instructor goes, "Did you have a quarrel with the road test guy?" I said no. He said, why did you fail so badly? I've never seen somebody fail so bad. I've never, I've never, I've never had such a situation. But yeah, that was one of the things that that shocked me. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're bold, to be honest.
Oh
Like
yeah.
you were bold to go do the advanced test. I'm sure they took you into the experts.
Oh, of course.
What trail did you go on first? Deerfoot?
Honestly, then I actually didn't even know where I went to. But I know, I think we went to Deerfoot. Yeah, I think we went to
Because
Deerfoot. Thinking back,
that Deerfoot is wild. Like,
yeah, I think it's Deerfoot they took me to. But looking back, I went back and did my basic. Nobody told me. I just went back. I did my basic. I didn't even do it in Calgary. I went to Volcan. Volcan is that's 30 minutes away from Calgary. I went to a small town to do it, and I got my my basic my GDL, and that's what I've been using. And it's none of my business what anybody says.
oh, I do hear that now you should drive. If you've driven for like 2 years or so
Yes,
without
you get the
any,
advance.
they move you to advanced.
Advance,
So you
yeah.
should qualify for that soon, I
Oh
guess.
yeah, for sure. This year I have qualified, but I just haven't taken action on it.
Gone in, yeah.
Yeah.
So now let's talk about the kid.
Okay.
How is it? I mean, well, how old was he when you all left Nigeria?
He was just born. He was just born when
Oh, okay. So
we
basically,
were
like
here.
he doesn't even know what Nigeria is.
No, he doesn't know Nigeria, honestly. He doesn't.
Yeah, that's fair. Just like Ronan.
Yeah.
So how is it? If you think about life back in Nigeria and your friends who are raising kids in Nigeria and what you've experienced in the past, he's 6 now, right?
He's 8, gonna turn 8
He's
in
8.
October.
Oh, okay. October. Oh, Andrew's a big boy.
Oh, he's a
He's
big
going to
man.
turn 8 in October.
Yeah.
So if he's 8, like just talking about how it's been raised versus Nigeria here. Yeah. Tell me
Yeah.
about that.
So one thing in Nigeria is this: if you're ready to spend good money, your kid will be well educated. But the only
Mm,
difference you're going to suffer with the kid is that the kid won't be so versed in terms of meeting other people and stuff like that, traveling to other countries. But like I said, if you want to spend good money, you have good money. Your kids will be as exposed as any other person, any other kid in the world. The only problem
yeah.
you have is the school itself might not have as much pedigree as the one your child would probably have if
Mm,
you were out of the country. That's the only difference. Because he does have nephews in Nigeria, and when I speak to those kids, they're really smart. They're bright kids, right? They really
mm,
at same level as him. But the only difference, like I said, is just the school, right? Now raising him here is way easier and more less hands-on as compared to
mm,
Nigeria. Nigeria, I will never just how I don't know how people do it. So my wife made sure that once we had our kid, that she did not use a nanny. That for her that was that was something she was ready to sacrifice. She was ready to sacrifice everything that she has to raise our boy. And me, I was
mm,
supportive of that. Now, that was something we're used to. So moving here, it wasn't new to us to raise our
yeah.
kid by ourselves. So that was fine.
Mm,
Now, another move is that for Dre to go to school, we have a service that will pay for from the government that comes get him. He goes to a private school, so they get him to school. But in Nigeria, I will never use a staff bus or school bus to send my boy to school. I will go and drop him myself and go pick him up myself. Oh, Nigeria is a mad country. So I won't do that, right? So I will never do that because drivers could go sick and they say, oh, because he said good morning today and I was not in a good mood, I did not answer him, or because I did not say hi back to him, he could go do some shit with my kid. So I will never have risked that in Nigeria. But here, it's easy for me to monitor the car from where the car leaves my house to when it comes to drop my child in school and then bring my child back. That kind of thing. But
yeah.
when he came here, he adjusted quickly. Even now in the winter, Dre doesn't wear any form of thermal wears or something like that. At home right now, he's wearing shorts, wearing t-shirts and stuff. I'm like, dude, it's cold. Temperature, we have to drop it to suit him in the house. So raising him wasn't difficult. Schooling wasn't a problem. We made schooling here, I think it's $50 for a kid who wants to go to public school. Education is same, but he goes to a private school, so we are spending more. It's something that we have decided to do, myself and my wife, right? And apart from that, getting his clothes cheap, well, kind of. It, feeding him is something different because he's very picky. He's very
Yeah.
Sometimes I used to say this to my wife: if this boy was in Nigeria, does he think he'll be eating pizza every week like this or something like that? You know, but feeding him is a different thing because we have to reinvent, pick different kind of meals. We tell you, I've never heard of lentil soup. I've never heard of it. But this dude tell you want lentil soup, and we have to order. So my wife has also learned how to make lentil soup that he likes. Pizza, we have to order, and he eats almost 2 boxes every week. I'm like, man, this dude, man, I don't understand this shit. He doesn't eat anything African. But so, but these are the things we try to bring into him. But raising him has been quite easy. And I think most parents, when they bring their kids, they find that it's easier for you to raise the kid here, but know very well that when it has its own challenges. Because back home, parents don't encourage kids talking back to them. Now, I don't mean talking
Yeah.
back to them to insult them. We don't encourage
Yeah.
that, but
But asking them hard questions.
yeah, now you can have that conversation with your kid. Like now, I can ask, "Oh, who's your girlfriend?" And he's telling me, "Oh, nah, I have a girl that he likes or something like that in his class." But in Nigeria, man, I'm telling you, go and read your book in school. Don't be telling me, don't tell me about spending money per term.
So
Education
you've literally had to adjust.
yeah, it's interesting because you have to start thinking differently and outside the box, right, to raise a kid in this environment, which is very interesting, right? So I don't think raising him has been difficult. I think raising him has been more interesting, more
Mm.
hands-on, and the experience has been really nice. Like you said, when they come here, they are just faster than us as parents.
Yeah, yeah, they do.
They're faster. They kind of wonder like, what are you doing? Are you not? Are you not understanding what I'm telling you? Sometimes I say some things to him, he doesn't understand me. But his teacher in school will say something to him and he understands better than I am. So I tell him maybe because of my Nigerian accent. So I don't know what to say to you, but that's what life is, right? It's just life.
So you mentioned hands-on. I'm just wondering, do you think like when if you I mean it's hard to probably imagine,
Hmm.
but do you think that if you are in Nigeria, you would be as hands-on as you are here?
Nah, nah, I don't think so. Because it's a difficult life already, right? You have to provide. So in Nigeria, we had three generators. We had a big, I think it's 12, how many kVAs, I can't remember that again. Then we had a smaller one. Then we had the smallest one, which was that I better pass my neighbor. And
Mm,
a very small one. That one you use one 4 liter of gas all through the night,
mm,
all through the night. And he doesn't sleep with heat then. It was really very tiny, you know. But when I say hands-on in Nigeria, I wouldn't have been because first and foremost, you work late, then you beat traffic to get home. How are you going to even be hands-on? How are you going to be hands-on? I have a friend who told me one time, which who you know, he said his kids asked him one day, like, how come, Daddy, how come you don't spank us anymore? You don't beat us anymore. He said in Nigeria it was frustration. It was frustration to make me beat you people. I don't like beating you people. He's very right. Doesn't want to mess up.
yeah, of course. I really know what you say. He's told me that story
He
too.
said frustration that made me want to make me beat you even more. But that's it. You can't be hands-on in that kind of. You have to provide for the family. You have to beat traffic. You have to. Nigeria will even happen to you, and you have
Yeah,
to also try to protect your family from Nigeria happening to them. So how are you going to be hands-on? How? There's no way. But now, if you, I work from home. I take my child to school. They bring my child back to me. I'm home. I get his meal ready, myself and my wife. We see him every day. If you work from home in Nigeria, you spend more money than going to the office. Yeah, you spend money
because you have to
on
run the
generator, you have
gen.
to pay for internet. Those two things are not cheap in Nigeria. So, yeah, like you said, I don't want to say only Nigeria, especially Black Africa, as it were. You know, it is difficult because I lived in Morocco, I lived in Algeria. Internet wasn't expensive. It was expensive. The electricity it's non-negotiable. It was there. I lived in Accra, Ghana, but yeah, but for a bit. Internet was not so expensive. It was expensive, but not that expensive. Electricity was steady. I lived there for like probably 7 months, not in a hotel, in a house. And I think I experienced blackout once in 6 months. And I was informed when they're going to, the blackout was going to happen. I was informed, that kind of a thing. So that is where I think, being hands-on in Nigeria would have been so difficult because again, there's so many factors. There's Nigeria in itself. You have to provide for your family. You have to protect your family, and so many other things that that could go wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the last question I have for you is in hindsight, like so if you look back now, what was the one thing you'd have done differently if you are moving today?
Um. So I think myself and my wife, we did many things right. First and foremost, we actually researched into the cities in Canada, and we made our
Mm.
pick, or made that pick, we zeroed in. It was smart for us.
Hmm.
That first thing we did. That's number one. Number two, I wouldn't have changed my city. I would not have changed the way we landed. Why? Because I had accommodation ready. People come in, they don't have accommodation. You are pitching with somebody, staying with somebody. I had my accommodation ready, paid for, waiting for me to land. So once we
Hmm.
landed, we just moved in. And luckily, like I said, I had my
Hmm.
cousin. All we needed was a mattress that night. Oh no, I can't come back. That was funny.
You remind me of
Oh,
the first house when we got our
yeah,
first place.
yeah,
When we got our first house like this, like a friend literally gave us a mattress,
yeah,
and then so the house was just bare except for the usual, the fridge,
yeah,
the fridge,
uh,
the
yeah.
refrigerator,
Cooker.
the microwave, the
Yeah,
cooker, the laundry machine.
yeah,
We just took the mattress, put it in the masters,
yeah.
and just
I
slept
just
off.
slept
Like
off. Yeah.
just yeah, just all our bags,
And
just dumped it somewhere.
I just remember that day. You just took my mind back. We just landed and we're looking for mattress quickly. My cousin and said, "Oh no, there you can buy mattress from somebody and blah blah blah. All we need to do is, we need a cover, so that, because you don't know who the person was like." So we said, "Okay, we'll
Yeah,
just manage it for like the first 1 or 2 months, and then we see when we can now, or the next day we can now go look for buying a mattress and stuff like." So that was right. The only thing I would have probably changed is knowing how to having the right information about the marketplace. So this is job market. This is where I made a mistake. When I came in, I started carrying my resume office to office.
hmm.
Yeah, do you understand what I mean? So I go to Diversified, I go to Kelly, I go to Rogers, I go to Shell, I go to drop my resume in their reception. And now the one lady told me in Dell, when I went into Dell, she told me, you can do this online. This was like my last stop. Like, okay, after today, I've tried. After I've gone through like maybe 24 offices, I told myself, man, I've tried. Let me just submit this last one and then I'll go home. And then I got there, I gave her, she saw me. I was really very tired. And this, I'm telling you, I'm not taking taxi, I'm walking, downtown
You
Calgary. I'm
serious?
walking office to office, walking. And then she goes, you can do this online, right? I'm like, how do you mean? She said, just go to our website. Go to our website, look for careers, and then just apply. We don't really see resumes, hard copies. Hiring managers don't look at it. I'm like, okay. I went back home. When I went back home, I looked at the job site and then I tried to apply. Now, even when I applied, thinking back, I made lots of mistakes. So if I could do this, if I could have the knowledge of how to apply to job, how to optimize my resume, because that's the biggest thing for anybody that comes into a new country, especially a country like Canada. The biggest problem is coming in and getting a job because that's all we
Yeah,
need. Get a job and then you're
yeah,
able to take care of your family. And that's why for
yeah,
me, it's personal for me now to help newcomers when they come in. You know,
yeah,
I take it personal. I want to help you get a job. So I have career table round tables, open mics, go for events, talk to people because I'm also a first generation immigrant.
yeah. Exactly.
I'm
True.
a
True.
first. It's
Yeah.
not like my father came to this country and built something for me. Nah, I came here. The
Yeah.
ground was
We're
laid.
building it
I built
ourselves,
it
man.
here. My son cannot tell me that, okay, tomorrow my dad came here as a first immigrant and then he got this and then I was able to expand. Yeah, you have that story. I don't have the story, right? Yeah, my dad
Yeah.
did his part,
Yeah.
giving me the best education his money could afford, right? And that's where I'm building, coming to a new country. My dad will tell you, I don't understand why you're in Canada. Come to the US. Everything is ready for you. I'm like, nah. I don't want to come and then again you will now start, taking care of me and prepare, no, taking care of my family. No. That's why for me it's important when I support newcomers when they come into the country, I'm able to help. I can't give you money, but I can give you the wisdom and help you
Yes.
get that job and tell you how to get the job. And lots of times
Mm-hmm.
I see people send me texts. Even yesterday, I got a text last night. Oh, Bona, thank you for everything. I got a six figure job. I'm like, how long have you been in Canada again? I remember, oh, just my sister-in-law even came. And that for me, I tell people, I say, if I tell you this what you should do, you should do it. Just do it and follow the way I've told you. Because I'm telling you out of experience, not because I read it in a book, you know.
Yeah.
And and my sister-in-law, different people when they come, they talk to me, they contact me and tell you know what, this is what you should do. And somebody sent me a text last night and said, "Oh, Bona, thank you very much. He's been in this country for about a month or two. He just got a job, $110,000. I'm like,
He'll be so
I told him, I
excited.
said, you don't even know what you have until somebody else come, meet somebody and say, and the person has been in this country for 2 years and no job. Then you appreciate what you have. But that's what life is, right? Having the right connection,
Yeah.
right education, is very important.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just basically. So for me, that's the only thing I would have changed, but nothing else I would have changed because I did my homework. Myself and my wife, we did our homework. We studied. My
Nice.
wife is somebody
Mm.
who will do everything. She'll stay awake and read, research,
Mm.
and like, me, I want to sleep.
Are you not tired?
Me, I want to sleep. You do your stuff. So we did everything. We planned. We knew where we were going to buy food from. But the only struggle I had in Nigeria, she was high maintenance. She doesn't eat pounded yam, eba, and those kind of things. She doesn't. But me, I'm African. I like those kind of food. So when we came here,
It now
he was
switched.
giving me those kind of food. I'm like, babe, I don't eat this kind of thing. I eat a pounded. If you cannot find it, we'll have to be doing this long distance marriage. That's how she found African stuff. And we now buy Maggie, small Maggie like this, so expensive. She now calls me and tell me, you're the high maintenance now, right? You are the high maintenance. And Nigeria, you to tell me high maintenance. She can't just put vegetables together and just make it $5. Her food is done. $5, $10 maximum. Food is done. But me, one meal like this, oh, but bro, maybe $30 or $40 on, $50 on go one meal. But for her, $10, she's done. She's fully satisfied. But that's it. But so I think we did our homework. The only thing I would have changed is knowledge in terms of getting a job, right, and knowing how to get the right job. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's would have been it.
I would like to round this up now, but I'm just curious. Like, it's just following up on something you mentioned about, when you are going around submitting CVs and all that. So you've been working here you've worked in the Canadian market for like 8 years
Yep.
now. Well, give or
About
take
7 years.
6 years,
About 7 years. Seven, seven,
six,
seven,
7
six,
years. Yeah,
7 years. Yeah, because the first year it was
yeah,
it was tough.
yeah. So, like, do you think it's still the same market like it was when you came, or has it changed a bit? Are they more? Is it more open now? It's easier to get jobs now compared to when there were just fewer Nigerians? You think it's still the same
Oh no,
market,
it's just
or like what has changed?
okay. So what has changed is the mentality of hiring managers. Yeah.
Okay.
Before now, hiring managers will tell you, oh no, I want somebody who has Canadian experience. It's still a factor. So yeah,
Yes.
but
Yes.
it's reduced now. Now, why?
Mm,
Because we have people like me, for example, people like my peers who now go into companies and tell the hiring managers like, he's new to Canada does not mean he cannot do the job. Software development in Nigeria
yeah.
and Canada is the same thing. There's no difference.
Same thing.
Let him now
Yeah.
show you, or let her now show you that she can do the job. You know. But
Yeah.
I can understand why you might not want to hire a new project manager at a senior level just coming into Canada. I can understand that.
Yeah.
You know, probably
Yes.
want to bring him or her at a junior level and get the person to grow up. I can understand that. But don't tell me the person doesn't have the experience. So what
Yeah.
the market has done now is, especially we have to thank the pandemic. You see, the
Mm,
pandemic did a lot of damage. It also did a lot of good. Because once the pandemic started winding down, what has happened is that now employers are now looking for talents everywhere. And our talents now know
yeah.
that you're looking for me. Okay, you pay me 200K. Ah, but I don't have 200K. But the new immigrant will take, for that same 200K, you're going to pay that guy. The new immigrant will take 60K. It's cheap labor, but I tell them, you know your what? Take that job, learn from that job, and move on. Either you move on or you let your employer know your value, and then they
Mm,
increase your pay. They grow you with the
yeah.
company. So for me, I think the market has changed, has shifted to accepting new immigrants more. The pay, of course, has increased, that's better than what it used to be.
Yeah.
The mentality of new immigrants, knowing that they could get a job coming in now, is also better. But now the problem now is knowing how to put your resume out there, knowing how to apply for the
Yeah.
job, understanding what to do. Because it's one thing I tell people, as a talent acquisition specialist, I don't know whether you're white or black. I don't know whether you're
Yeah.
Indian. I don't know whether you're male or female. It's not my problem. It's what your resume tells me. That's what I work with. So if your resume does not work, it doesn't work. You understand my point? It doesn't work. And it has been like that for ages. Yeah, I used to hear that before. Now they see a name like Dozier Ayagbolam. Oh, this guy is not Canadian. So I need a
Mm.
Canadian. But now when I see Dozier Ayagbolam and I see experience, I don't care whether you're African or you're new. It's none of my business. Does he have the experience? Yes, I'm going to the hiring manager and making my case. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Mm.
That is what the market has shifted to be. But before now, oh man, it's all bullshit. I don't like these people. I don't like to have this person my project. I feel that this person is going to be like this. I'm telling you what some hiring managers say. But now
Jesus.
everybody is now at the level like, man, I don't care now. Give me my talent. Just give
Yeah.
me talent that can give me
That's
that.
good. That's
Yeah,
that's good to
yeah.
hear.
It's a really interesting market right now, and I'm so happy, especially when I know the situation in Calgary, the situation in Canada. It's
Yeah.
a good place and a good time to be in Canada, especially a country like
Mm.
Canada. Yeah, and it can only get better. It
Yeah.
can only get better.
All right. Thank you so much, Bona. Like, this was a really interesting conversation. Like, we've done 40
Oh,
minutes. Like,
really?
honestly, like, so I always say, I'll try to do 20 minutes, but like, we've done
Oh
40
man,
minutes.
tough.
Thank you so much. This has been good. Thank you for joining
My
us.
pleasure.